What is going on? Welcome back to the Pylon Cam. It is mock drafts on a Tuesday because I wanted to see what happened in free agency on Monday. Not free agency, but end of franchise tag day. I'm going into this mock pretty raw. Alls I have prepared are my quick wits and what your mom told me last night. But anyways, with all that being said, a few disclaimers. There will be trades. And since y'all are savages and all you care about is the trade value, there's no way I can know that. There's no way you can know what's fair. I mean, all we have is what we know in previous similar transactions, right? So I tried to go off that guideline last time and y'all still got mad. So I don't know what you want me to do about it necessarily. There's not much I can do about it necessarily. So every trade, I'm probably just going to force so y'all can't be like, oh, Mike, you're an idiot because they would never do that for that value. Well, we don't know. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins got traded for David Johnson in a second-round pick, so y'all could argue with a brick on that one. But anyways, the first order of business is we got to figure out where Justin Fields is going. And my quick wits tell me there is one spot for Justin Fields. I'm just kidding. Well, actually, let me talk about this for a second. One of the rumors coming out of the Combine was, happy Combine week. I hope you all enjoyed that this past weekend. It was pretty good. I got to catch up on some things because I was on dad duty all weekend. But what I do know is regarding Justin Fields, the Bears found out that there's actually a much smaller market for Fields. And to be honest with you, I was kind of thinking the same thing, which is why I've been honing in on the Steelers in particular for Justin Fields and the Raiders, because they're two teams that are picking in no man's land, but they're still kind of young-ish where it makes sense for Fields to fit in. I guess Atlanta makes sense, but Atlanta's so ready to win now that it either made more sense to get Kirk Cousins, who you know is a proven quarterback who could run a air raid style offense, if that makes sense, or just get your own guy. Justin Fields always felt a little bit odd to me in Atlanta, just because of the timing of everything. Is it possible? Most definitely. Would I like to see him in Atlanta? Yes, I think it'd actually be really fun to watch him in that offense. I just never thought that was the case. So, for the sake of this video and someone yelling at me, we're going to trade Justin Fields, not Nathan Peterman, to the we're going to trade him to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are looking to trade up to 4, 5, or 6, apparently. I don't know if they'll be successful in that. So, a fallback option is going to be to trade for Fields. I don't know why I'm putting this 1 in here. Or pick 13. They're going to probably have to give pick 44. And then like some next year 4 or something like that. I don't know. The value might actually be too high for just a second round pick. But I said I wasn't going to talk about value that much, so I'm not going to talk about value. All that matters is that Justin Fields is in Las Vegas Raider. He's a Raider. All right. First pick. There's a lot of beating around the bush. A lot of bush beating to get to pick 1. It's Caleb Williams. Yeah, I just don't think there's much to say about this. It's Caleb Williams. You could just say that you love Justin Fields. I don't actually care. It's going to be Caleb Williams. Washington, I think it's going to be Drake May. I think the one thing that I've been kind of... what didn't make sense to me is the rise of Jaden Daniels. That made sense. Not the rise of Jaden Daniels made sense. The rise over Drake May never made sense to me personally. And I've, flipped it around with Daniels at 2, whatever. There's no way, in my opinion, it is Washington, so I can't say there's no way, but there's a very small chance they pass on Drake May. Because after Caleb, you got to think to yourself, like, all right, we're about to pick, this is the most important pick we're going to make for the next 5 years. We really got to know what we're doing here, and I think that the two biggest players suffering... Please tell me my microphone was on this whole time. Okay, it is. The two biggest players suffering from prospect fatigue are Olu Fashanu, it's actually pronounced Fashanu, that came out this weekend. Olu Fashanu and Drake May. Because Drake May is a prospect where you've heard since 2022, this kid is quarterback 2, maybe quarterback 1. Caleb Williams is quarterback 1. Then all of a sudden, he's not, and it's Jaden Daniels has a great year, whatever, but to leapfrog Drake May, which we now found out that we're going to talk about him later too, but Brian Thomas Jr. is that guy as an athlete. Like, I think Drake May is the Washington should just be like Caleb. Their big board should be Caleb Williams, Drake May. Go home. That should be the big board on draft night. Pick 3 is the Pats. I'm not going to say there's no chance they go Marvin Harrison Jr. because I do think that if the GM wants to play it safe, just take Marvin Harrison Jr., sign Calvin Ridley, and then you actually have a pretty good receiving core in one day. Because Calvin Ridley is trending towards being a free agent. He did not get any form of tag, so maybe they're going to let him test the market and then extend him. But with the Pats, I really think that specifically for the Patriots, you're going to get Drake May, maybe, or you're going to get Jaden Daniels, or maybe Drake May, maybe J.J. McCarthy. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to rise to pick 3. I've been kind of caping for J.J. McCarthy for a while now. And he had a huge boost from the Combine. And what a big part of the Combine is, specifically for quarterbacks, is how you interview. Teams watch how you're interacting with the people that nobody thinks about. Like, just the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say insignificant, but the insignificant people in the room. They care about how you act around those people. Trust me. There was a big report last year about how Anthony Richardson, after his rookie dinner, stayed back and cleaned up. Teams care about that thing. And I think the team should care about that in particular when it comes to your quarterback, because that's going to be your guy. That's your franchise. It's a long-winded answer to say, I don't think this is going to be J.J. McCarthy, but I wouldn't actually be shocked if it was J.J. McCarthy. I have been saying that J.J. McCarthy is probably going to go top 5 for a while now, and I got on Twitter because of it. I just threw it out there. I didn't think anybody would attack me. But I got attacked by Falcons fans. But yeah, so pick 4, it's Marvin Harrison. There's a small chance that this gets traded back. Diana Russini tweeted out that a smart executive or a smart GM told her that he wouldn't be shocked if it was QB 1, 2, 3, 4, which could happen. Means that teams are thinking that highly of JJ, for 1. And for 2, Arizona is okay passing on Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't see that, to be honest. There's also a bunch of reports that Malik Neighbors, teams have Malik Neighbors as 1A over Marvin Harrison. Here's the thing, and I haven't done my wide receiver video yet. I've done all the work for it. But the thing with Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors to me is you're not going to find someone who's been caping harder for Malik Neighbors throughout this whole process. You're not going to find that person. But the thing is, as much as I love Malik Neighbors and can actually rationalize taking Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison, one of the biggest differences, and it's going to seem so small, is that Marvin Harrison's 6'4". And you could be saying, Mike, that's such a dumb reason, but the way that Marvin Harrison can do the same things that Malik Neighbors can, minus the run after catch ability, because he can run after catch, he's just not as good as Malik Neighbors in that respect. If I could get that same basis of Malik Neighbors' game as a route runner, understanding coverage, understanding how to attack zone, but at 6'4", who can make every contested catch look easy, every 50-50 ball look easy, I would be hard-pressed. I mean, Malik Neighbors would have to blow me away in person to justify that. But I wanted to say that because that is a report that came out, and I think a lot of people think it's crazy, but I really don't think it's that crazy. Anyway, Chargers at pick 5. We're trading this pick. Trading it to Minnesota. Say what you want about the value. I don't care. Argue with a brick. Minnesota's coming up for JJ. Now, and I want to say this because this is one of the most interesting things I found out over the weekend. Minnesota interviewed Bo Nix 5 times. And I don't know where Bo Nix is going to go in the draft. Because I could see top 20. I could also see second, like day 2. They interviewed Bo Nix 5 times. And I'm not going to have the Vikings move up to pick 5 for Bo Nix because that's crazy. They're moving up for JJ. JJ is way more athletic than people gave him credit. His shuttle, his cone drill was really good. His 40, I don't remember if he ran the 40, but he interviewed off the charts. He had a really good interview with the Vikings. Excuse me. And he threw the ball. This doesn't matter to a lot of people, but it kind of matters to me because one of the knocks on JJ is how does he throw outside the numbers? I think he had the second strongest arm behind Joe Milton out of all the quarterbacks I tested. I'm a big JJ fan. I think JJ is going to be the quarterback where we look back at this draft and it's like, how did JJ fall to wherever he falls? I mean, he might not go 5. I think he's going to go top 10. But it's going to be, like you see Jordan Love now and it's like, wow, he fell all the way to 26. How'd that happen? How did Jalen Hurts fall to round 2? Like, these things happen, man. And I think JJ is going to be the quarterback from this class where it's like, how did he fall? Because the thing is, like, this is the thing. And I'll bang the drum on this until after the draft. Like, the argument against JJ is the sample size is small. But, like, if you have a highly efficient, small sample size, is that worth less than a high-volume, inefficient sample size? You know what I mean? Like, obviously you want, if it was a graph, and you have your quadrants here, and obviously if I'm you guys, it would be like this part of the graph. This would be like high efficiency, high volume. This would be low volume, high efficiency, and then low volume, low efficiency, high volume, low efficiency. Like, I would rather my quarterback be up here because that means he's at least efficient. Whereas, like, and the other thing with JJ is you have to be able to win from the pocket first in the NFL. And JJ is so dynamic, like, not dynamic, but he's so smart from within the pocket. And I feel like he doesn't get credit for that. And this is a point I was making in the first mock draft when I talked about JJ. It's like, we get so blown away by, like, Caleb Williams. Rightfully so. We get blown away by Patrick Mahomes. And the thing with Patrick Mahomes that I think often gets dismissed, which is why I think he's actually almost at unbeatable status, because, I mean, it's unreal what he could do. But he does everything right in the system first. And that's so important to be able to navigate the system because it keeps you on schedule. And in those big games when you have to go off schedule, in those moments where you have to go off schedule, that's when Patrick Mahomes becomes Patrick Mahomes. And, like, that's what makes him so hard to stop is that, that specialness about him. I don't know how he got there, but J.J. McCarthy at 5 is not crazy. Point. I'm going to switch up this pick because with the Giants, pick 6. I've gone Neighbors here every single mock draft. And if you're asking me, if they don't draft Neighbors and he's here, it's the wrong draft pick. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel at this moment. But given that they kind of are hinting at moving Jalen Hyatt to the slot, and you have Wan'Dale who needs to play in the slot, they need that boundary X receiver, which I think can be Malik Neighbors. I also think Malik Neighbors gets priority, so if he's going to be a 1,600-yard or 1,500-yard, not 1,600-yard, like a 1,300-yard receiver from the slot, then Wan'Dale, you're 5'8". You're not going to take his, like, it's not going to be boohoo Malik Neighbors. You have to play on the outside because we need Wan'Dale to play in the slot. Like, that's insane. No, Malik Neighbors would play in the slot. But to change it up, to add some new spice to the mix, we're going to take Rome Odunze at pick 6. I think this is the wrong pick, but it's possible. And that's the thing on this channel. We keep it in the realm of possibility. Yeah, and I think I also want to say, like, if you saw the Rich Eisen clip about the Giants are done with Daniel Jones, that's the rumor he heard, and they have buyer's remorse and all this crap. I think that is big time smoke. Because if you think about what happens by them saying that, is it's signaling to every team, oh my God, the Giants are taking a quarterback at 6. If we want our guy, we have to get the 5. The other rumor that is out there is the Chargers are shopping the 5th overall pick. Let's just say that the Cardinals go Malik Nabers at 4. If they go Malik Nabers at 4 and someone trades for pick 5, the Giants get Marvin Harrison Jr. I am a Giants fan. I just want them to not have their quarterback play in the worst situation ever like they did to Eli and Daniel Jones. Like, I also think that Joe Schoen knows what he's doing and he's a smart GM. He understands modern team building. To decline this kid's 5th-year option, give him the biggest extension in franchise history, and then say you have buyer's remorse because he tore his ACL, that just screams to me incompetency. Why would I trust you to draft your guy? That's stupid. Period. The other thing is, with pick 7, another change curveball here. We've gone tackle here every time. And the guys at Underdog made a very good point. Remember that meme of the 2021 draft when it was like Joe Burrow throwing to anybody and it had a bunch of stick figures and it was like Joe Burrow and then anybody and then Penei Sewell and the ball completes the pass. And then it was Joe Burrow like dead on the ground and then Jamar Chase just standing over here and then an offensive line on the ground as well. Like, I think that might be the same case here, to be honest with you. Because, like, there is Bengal ties to the Titans now. And one of the things from Rand Carthen was they need to get faster. And Treylon Burks is not A.J. Brown. I don't know why that whole debacle. Can I just say this? Have you ever watched Family Guy? And there's that episode where Peter and Lois are in the room and they're like, you've won a free boat or the mystery box. And Lois is like, well, take the boat. And then Peter's like, hold on a second, Lois. A boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. Could even be a boat. That is essentially what the Titans did. A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be A.J. Brown. Treylon Burks is not A.J. Brown. He might actually be a bust. I hope not, because I like Treylon Burks. And I caped for him pretty hard back in the day. But D-Hop's probably gone. I actually don't know what the situation with D-Hop is, to be honest, off the top of my head. But I do think that Malik Nabers actually would be the ideal fit for the Titans offense of what they want to do. I know they want to address, they need to address tackle at some point or another, but they have a high second round pick and I think they have some money. Maybe not. I actually don't know if they have money at the moment. I gotta redo my team evaluations given, the franchise tag deadline and all that crap. I think Malik Nabers to the Titans is actually a huge get because Malik Nabers, I've been very accurate on my track record of this is a safe player since I've been doing this on YouTube where you could pick him and you don't really got to worry about anything. Malik Nabers is in that camp. Like, him and Joe Alt, who I pick? I think of the ones picked so far, Marvin, Malik Nabers, and Joe Alt, and then I would put Quinyon Mitchell actually in this group too. It's tough to project corners, but he's checked every single box. Anyway, Malik Nabers to Titans at 7. Falcons at 8. We're not going to take a quarterback in this case. We're just going to pray we get like Gardner Minshew or something in free agency or Kirk. I just don't think Kirk is leaving the Vikings even if they trade up for JJ, to be honest. So pick 8, I think I was a year early on the Falcons last year. I had them winning the division, but I had kind of higher expectations for Desmond Ridder to facilitate a run-first offense and complete like 6 passes. He couldn't even do that. But I do think the Falcons will win the division this year. They need to get a quarterback who's actually an NFL quarterback, and they need one edge rusher. I don't really care who your preference is, or I guess I don't really care. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but if your preference is one of these 3 guys, that's great. I think that like this needs to be an edge rusher. I've had Dallas Turner as my edge one this whole time. But I did read a report that Jared Verse was their guy last year. And they were really upset he went back to school. And Jared Verse last year was still a top 10 pick. Projected top 10 pick. I guess we'll go with Dallas Turner. Because I think he's the better player. But if you like Jared Verse better, I agree with you. That's what I'll leave that at that. Excuse me. The Bears at pick 9. I've never been a Cole Kmet guy. I know he's not bad, so don't hear what I'm not saying, but like I think he's a free agent owed $0 after next year. And if you could replace him with Brock Bowers at 9 and get Caleb Williams and you have DJ, like Brock Bowers, I mean, it's like when going back to like Kyle Pitts, like he's not just a tight end. You know what I mean? Like with how he lines up in line or detached from the line out wide, it's pretty even split. Like he could do whatever you need him to do. Someone said that he should be labeled as a pass catcher, and I do agree with that. I also think he's pretty spicy in the run game, to be honest. So we're gonna go with Brock Bowers here to keep it kind of within the realm of possibility, but a little bit different. Jets at pick 10 is Joe Alt. It's just, I know they're linked to Talisi Fuaga, but if they could get Joe, I don't think they're expecting to get Joe Alt. Someone tweeted this, and it actually really resonated with me because I think it's so accurate. Joe Alt is the Marvin Harrison Jr.'s of offensive linemen, and I think that's so, especially with how he tested, like, that's such an accurate statement. And then I think the ideal pick here for the Chargers is Talisi Fuaga. You need a right tackle to go with Rashawn Slater. You want to run the ball with Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh. Talisi Fuaga is a run mauling, pass blocking capable right tackle. Plug and play. There you go. Broncos are by far the hardest team to mock for because they need a quarterback so bad, because if you didn't know, they just released Russell Wilson. I just want to see something right quick. Yeah, so like there are arguments to be made for edge rusher or interior offensive line, obviously quarterback. They also need corner and defensive tackle. I think that if Jared Verse is here, he is definitely the play. I'm actually not going to go Jared Verse. I'm going to go with Laiatu Latu because this is a player that I've been caping for, and I do think that since he cleared medicals, his medicals came back good, like he's just going to be so productive right away. And the Broncos aren't a team where you could just drop a quarterback in. And, like, I'm not caping for Jarrett Stidham, but, like, you have Jarrett Stidham. And, like, if you did get Bo Nix, and, like, another scenario I could see happening is, I don't have it up right now, but if we look into round 2, like, there is the chance you could give Jerry Jeudy in a future 3rd or future 4th and get, well, no, that wouldn't make any sense. But you could give Jerry Jeudy and something to get back a 2nd round pick. Because one of the other players, to be honest, I thought about here was Brian Thomas Jr., which is a huge need for the Broncos because you have guys, but you don't have the guy. Like, I do cape for Jerry Jeudy all the time. But at some point, you need to see something. And he's flash, but he's not that guy. And I will blame a lot of that on quarterback play. I will be the first to tell you. But if you could get Brian Thomas Jr. here, like, who just tested out as, like, I think he had a 9-point-something RAS score, which is, like, relative athletic score, which is off the charts because it's out of 10. I think that he's actually a solid pick at 12. I almost went with him at 11 for the Chargers, but I think Talisi Fuaga is ideal for the Chargers at 11 with what they want to do in this offense. Raiders at pick 13. We traded for Justin Fields. So, QB is taken care of. I like going Byron Murphy here, but we're going to go with offensive tackle because he's just sitting here, and Olu Fashanu. Trevor Penning just unfortunately hasn't worked out, and as I mentioned at the top of the video, Olu Fashanu, how you pronounce his name, is probably one of the prospects suffering the most from prospect fatigue. Which, if you don't know what prospect fatigue is, it's just people get tired of talking about the same prospect, so they make up reasons of why he's bad or shouldn't be, or someone should be taken ahead of him. Dude, I saw a mock draft. It might have been Lance Sirlines. And it was like Alt, Fuaga, Mims, and JC Latham before Fashanu. And I was like, that is just flipping crazy. But with the Saints at 14, I think we're going to see a little bit of run on tackles here because Trevor Penning has not worked out for you. So we're going to go ahead and take JC Latham. Plug and play on the offensive line. You hope. I mean, Trevor Penning's just not playing anymore, so he's, I guess, done. And you just restructured Derek Carr, so you're going to have to, do something there. Or you could take Brian Thomas Jr. as another thing. But because you didn't take Brian Thomas Jr., he's going to the Colts. And here's why he's going to the Colts. The Colts just franchise tagged Michael Pittman. It is my expectation Michael Pittman, Pit God, gets extended at some point. And then you have Josh Downs, who I like, as your slot guy. And the Colts are always a team that goes after these freaky athletes. And the corner is a huge need. But if you took Brian Thomas Jr. and put him in the Alec Pierce role, all of a sudden, you have one of the scariest offenses in the NFL. Minus Josh Downs, because Josh Downs is one of the most physically intimidating guys. But you have a linebacker playing quarterback. Pitt God, Jonathan Taylor, Brian Thomas Jr., and then Josh Downs. I like this pick a lot, to be honest with you. Pick 16 is the Seahawks, and with their new head coach, McDonald, we saw what he just did with Justin Matabuke, who the Ravens just franchise tagged. Big breakout year. I think if you could get Byron Murphy here, who's like a similar build type interior defensive lineman, which is a huge position of need for the Seahawks, good things are going to happen. And I think you could address interior offensive line. And, oh, no, you can't in round 2 because you traded that to the Giants for Leonard Williams. Anyways, Jaguars pick 17. We're going to have another trade. I know that the Jaguars just let go of, all of their corners. But I'm going to be honest. I don't care. Because this just needs to happen if you want what's best for Trevor Lawrence. We're going to trade T. Higgins to the Jaguars for basically the same picks that A.J. Brown got for the Eagles, which is, I think it was pick 18 and 108. So we're going to trade pick 17 and then your third rounder because the Jaguars also just let Calvin Ridley go into free agency. There's the chance that he goes to free agency, tests the market, and comes back. I think Calvin Ridley is still very good. He's not washed. But to have the opportunity to give Trevor Lawrence T. Higgins back from their days at Clemson, winning every game they've ever played, I think that this is just more valuable than what you could do here at pick 17, unless you wanted a Quinyon Mitchell, which I agree with. I tried to fight it for as long as possible, to be honest with you. But Quinyon Mitchell is CB1. He's checked every box, man. Testing at the Combine. He shut down everybody at the Senior Bowl, which is designed for wide receivers to win. The film is there. He's checked every box. Quinyon Mitchell, if he was the first defensive player taken, I wouldn't be shocked. He's that good, man. All that to say, we're not taking him here. We're going to go with Johnny Newton because interior defensive line is a massive, massive, massive need for the Bengals. And then we're going to take a tackle, Amarius Mims. So we're going to double tap trenches here, which is always a good idea in my opinion, because I think that football is won in the trenches. If you can move the line of scrimmage, you can move the ball. Or you stop the ball. That is the philosophy. That's what's right. And then because of the fall of Quinyon Mitchell, he's going here at pick 19. Don't care. Sorry, Rams fans. There's not that much of an explanation. I think you're getting a top 10 player in the draft at pick 19 at a position of need. The Steelers at pick 20. We're also going to go with a corner. Here's why. I know offensive tackle, specifically right tackle, is a massive need. You're not going to put Troy Fontenot on the right side. Tyler Guyton, I think, is a project. If they took Guyton here, I wouldn't be shocked. But I would temper expectations for year one. To be honest, I'm just saying, I think Guyton's really good. Super high potential prospect. But he's not ready to play year one, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Just from what I've watched and what I've broken down myself and seen people breaking down, I just don't think he's ready to play year one. Ideally, he goes to the Eagles and plays behind Lane Johnson and then becomes a god. Actually, not ideally because I'm a Giants fan, but you get my point. And I want to go Troy Fautanu here, but we're not. We're going to go with Terrion Arnold. I think that Terrion Arnold to go with Joey Porter Jr. is an insane corner duo for years to come. Miami Dolphins at pick 21. I really wanted to go with one of the interior defensive linemen here because they let Christian Wilkins go. And I have been saying for a while that I think that Mike McDaniel's scheme makes offensive line not that important for the Dolphins because they get the ball out so fast. And you could, as a Dolphins fan, say, we need offensive line help. Well, Tua just threw for the most yards in the entire NFL behind your crappy offensive line. So I don't think it's that big of a need, to be honest. It's just my opinion. Adding depth to the edge room, which got decimated with big-time injuries, is huge. And if you have Jared Verse fall to your lap at 21, I think you are going to bed very happy as a Dolphins fan. 22 is the... Dang, I should have took Jax Powers Johnson. That's my bad, Dolphins fans. But I didn't. So mistakes happen. It is what it is. And I don't want to take him to the Eagles because I'm blanking on his name. But you already have your fill in at center. And I think tackle is a bigger need. Or corner is a bigger need. Or maybe even edge is a big need if Hassan Reddick gets traded. But like I mentioned earlier, I think Tyler Guyton to back up Lane Johnson is the play. If JPJ falls, I would be hard-pressed to take him, I'm going to be honest. But he didn't fall. Well, he did fall, but I didn't take him. I just want to see one thing right quick. Okay. So, Saquon Barkley is a free agent. Which sucks. But I'm a little bit happy about it because it forces the Giants to make a modern offense, which is cool. We're not in, I think paying for running backs is a luxury. And the Giants are a team that does not get luxuries right now because you need to put the basics on the team, starting with the offensive line. Be that as it may, I do think that Saquon is going to go to the Texans. My 3 landing spots for Saquon are the Texans, Chargers, or Ravens. That's where I could see him going. I don't think out of respect for the Giants franchise, he will go to an NFC East team. To be honest, I don't think he's going to go to a rival. Miami would be dope. But I think he's going to go to the Texans. There's heavy smoke around him going to the Texans. Excuse me. The Texans also just extended Dalton Schultz, which I thought was a no-brainer. I don't know why a lot of people thought that wasn't. Dalton Schultz is good. I don't know why everybody craps on Dalton Schultz. And he just had a sick year with Stroud. Anyway, Dude, the Texans are just America's team. Everybody loves. I have no allegiance to the Texans, but I'm rooting for the Texans to be successful. Anyway, outside corner is a gigantic need. And I went on that Saquon tangent because I kind of just want to go offensive line. Like, I know you need slot receiver and, like, safety and other things. You also drafted Juice Scruggs last year, who I was high on. But I think this team's strength is the trenches. And as a Giants fan who knows what it's like to be ass in the trenches, for lack of better terms, you don't want that. It makes everybody worse, offense and defense. And I think if Jackson Powers Johnson falls to your lap at 23, like, I'm just saying, like, Jackson Powers Johnson is one of these safe prospects I was talking about in the beginning of the video. Like, he is in that tier for me where if I draft Jackson Powers Johnson, I know I am getting a good football player that will help my team. He may not be this elite prospect god type player, but I know that I am getting my football team got better at the end of the day. Like, I just know that the Jackson Powers Johnson could play guard. He dominated the Senior Bowl. Like, he's it, man. And I think that I didn't want to do this previous. Now I don't think I'm going to get the chance to do it. But if you could get Brian Thomas Jr., I think that's definitely in play as well because he is that freaky. And if you pair him with Nico Collins and Tank Dell, you got a wild receiving core. But I think let's keep our strength strong. Let's hunker down in the trenches and keep it rolling. Because I think that's what's going to keep the Texans, set up the Texans to run the AFC South. I think the AFC South is quietly getting really, really good. I'm a big supporter of what the Colts are doing as well. I think the Colts are building a really good team, and I love Shane Steichen. I think that the key to winning the South is keeping Stroud protected. I think that Stroud is arguably the best quarterback in the AFC South. I'm a big Trevor Lawrence believer, big-time Trevor Lawrence believer. I think Steichen is going to do great things with Richardson. I think the AFC South is quietly going to become one of the best divisions in football, to be honest with you. Anyway, that's my little tangent about the AFC South. Now we get to talk about the worst team in the NFL, Dallas Cowboys. I think you got to go offensive line here. Just because you have Tyler Smith. I don't know why I blanked on his name. Tyler Smith is a free agent, and he's been there for like a decade. Troy Fautanu, or Graham Barton. I just worry about Graham Barton playing tackle. Fautanu's arms are longer than everybody expected, which is good for him to play tackle. I always thought he would be able to play tackle. Anyways, I just don't know which side of the line you put him on, which is my hesitancy with here. The other position I kind of really want to go is wide receiver because of Michael Gallup's probably going to get cut or traded. To be honest, I don't know what the contract looks like. I was a big Michael Gallup fan once upon a time, and then he tore his ACL and has not been the same since, tragically. Anyways, I think to replace... there's two players I'm really eyeballing here in all seriousness. Someone I've been really high on for before anybody, I think, is Ladd McConkey. I tweeted out he was my wide receiver 5 months ago. And people were like, Ladd McConkey, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, he's white, but he could ball. Like, it happens. And I think that with Brandon Cooks there, like, obviously he's not your long-term answer in the slot. You have CD who does kind of run, is growing more as an out wide receiver, but he still does a lot of damage from the slot. I think getting A.D. Mitchell, even though he might not be the better player than Ladd McConkey when it's said and done, A.D. Mitchell will be that guy that you wanted Michael Gallup to be, which is good because that means the same system is going to run the same way with just better tools. So I like A.D. Mitchell to Dallas. Obviously not in real life as a Giants fan, but I think unbiasedly, like, A.D. Mitchell is a great pick for the Cowboys at pick 24, especially with I think he ran a 4.3 this weekend, which I did not expect, to be honest. Pick 25 is the Packers. Packers are a really tough team to draft for because I think this offseason they have to focus defense because they put in so much work on the offensive side of the ball. I wouldn't be mad if they wanted to go offensive line here and grab a guard. But I think corner is such a huge need. And there are a lot of good corners still on the board. Defensive tackle is a big need. I think replacing David Bakhtiari should be up there in terms of needs, but I'm sure that the Packers have someone behind him that I'm forgetting about. So I'm not too worried about it because the Packers, shocker, are a successful team because they always have a good offensive line, at least average. If you're a franchise and you could keep your offensive line to at least average level every year, you're gonna make it to the postseason, or like have a very, 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 very good chance of making it to the postseason. I think outside corner to replace Corey Ballantyne is a huge deal, to be honest. And there's so much talent on the board. There's talk about Cooper DeJean rotating to free safety. I think this is going to be like your Swiss Army knife player. He is such a good corner, but he is such a freaky athlete. Like, I cape for Cooper DeJean hard. He's so, like, go watch his basketball highlights and go watch his first pick six. He's nasty. And if you wanted him to play safety, full confidence he can. You got Bucks at pick 26. Sorry there wasn't a ton of trades in this one. I just realized that. It's hard to predict trades, and I went really trade heavy in the last one. So if you want to see some more trades, check out the last mock draft video from last week. Tons of trades in there. Bucks at pick 26. I think if Fautanu falls to you at 26, you gotta take him because that offensive line is still a work in progress. I actually could also think they didn't. There was no movements with Baker Mayfield, so he is an unrestricted free agent. I think that if you wanted to take a Bo Nix here, you can, but I would get a free agent anyway because I don't think he's ready to play year one. But instead, we're just going to take the player who's going to make our team better, and that is Fautanu. The Cardinals at pick 27. Corner is a huge need. I think the biggest need on this team is still interior defensive line. But unless I wanted to get really, really frisky, which I actually feel like I can, with how this player in particular tested, Braden Fisk, man. He tested like an absolute freak. I don't know if he goes in the first round, to be honest, but I do know he's going to go mid to high second after how he tested. I could see someone falling in love with him and talking themselves into him at back end of round one, to be honest. I think with how anemic this interior defensive line room is, like if you can see it, go on PFF and look at the Arizona Cardinals lineup. It looks like when you make a Madden Ultimate team and you just have the basic players you get when you make the team. Like, they're all orange. There is not a single green on the Cardinals lineup. Trash. I hope they get better, though. I like the Cardinals. Shout out to my boy. I know you're watching. Pick 28 is the Bills. This has been a hot Brian Thomas Jr. spot. He is gone. So we are going to take Troy Franklin. People are kind of mad that, how Troy Franklin did the gauntlet drill. I thought his 40 time would be better, to be honest. I still think he's really good, though. I think it's getting lost in, we have nothing to talk about, so let's hate on Troy Franklin. That's how I feel about it. You're replacing Gabe Davis. He had that long, heartfelt goodbye, whatever. Troy Franklin's going to do what Gabe Davis did, but at a higher level. That's pretty much all I gotta say. He's a linear threat. He's not the contested catch X receiver, but he can play on the outside and stretch defense and make, he is crazy fast. He has breakaway speed. And with someone who could basically throw to any corner of the field and Josh Allen, could not imagine a better pairing between these two. I also like Xavier Worthy here. I think Troy Franklin is still better than Xavier Worthy. And I have been caping for Xavier Worthy for a long time. I would go Troy Franklin over Xavier Worthy. He's just bigger. He's not as fast, but he does the same thing. He's had more production. Actually, I gotta fact check myself on that. I don't know if he's had more production, but They are the same type of player. The Lions at pick, where are we at? 29. They need edge help so bad. But I think if Nate Wiggins falls, that like ideally with the Lions, you're gonna go, like, you got to replace Graham Glasgow. You're losing your guards. I butchered the name, but you're losing some guards. I think the offensive line needs to stay strong, especially if you're going to extend Jared Goff. Because if Jared Goff has to take 3 steps off platform, he's going to get sacked, or the throw is going to be look like I threw it. So it's not going to look, it'll look elite, but you get my point. So part of me wants to go offensive line, but I think if Nate Wiggins falls to you all the way at 29, who just had he just ran a crazy, like, tested out really well. The knock is he's only 170. I think he came in as like 172. Super light for a corner. That's going to knock his stock a little bit, but I don't think it's going to knock him out of the first round. Pick 30 is the Ravens. They need to get faster on the perimeter, and we're going to go with Xavier Worthy. I think this is like the perfect complement for Zay Flowers, and it's like the perfect type of player for what the Ravens do on offense. Just get faster. I think speed is a huge thing in the NFL. A lot of these elite teams are the fastest teams, especially on offense. Like, look at the Dolphins. Excuse me. The Niners at pick 31. Some people have concerns with him. Dang, I didn't realize they moved Kool-Aid all the way down here. Shout out to my boy Mikey Sanders still. Dog, by the way. I think Graham Barton is the move. He's not... I don't think he'll play tackle because his arms are small. I think if he has to play tackle, he can. I've been saying this. But I think he is your plug-and-play type guard. I think he's someone you could put pretty much anywhere on the line, and good things will happen. And then... I didn't think this would happen, but because it did, I don't see how Kool-Aid's falling out of the first round, to be honest with you. And if they're going to trade L'Jarius Sneed and get Kool-Aid McKinstry at pick 32, Chiefs Dynasty keeps rolling. But anyways, that is going to do it for this mock draft video. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. You can hate on it, say that what I did was bad, but don't just say, oh, you're an idiot, period, blank, end of comment. Like, elaborate, because I want to know why what I did was stupid. So if you're right, I don't make that same mistake again in the future. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. That's going to do it for your boy Mike, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.